Larry Ellison and Satya Nadella were on stage, maybe for the first time, maybe first time in Seattle. What on earth is going on? I mean, cats sleeping with dogs, dogs and cats. I mean, what's happening?
I don't know. Next, you're going to see Mark Benioff sit down there with them, and then the world's just come to an end.
No, that Benioff did work at Oracle for a while.
He was a protege in many ways. I mean, at this point, I think he's created his own success, but he certainly did build some of those chops under the guidance of Larry Ellison. Yeah, it was a little weird to see the two of them on that stage together, but at the same time, maybe one of the most indicative things to where the world is today. And also, let's not be inaccurate. The two have had a fairly robust partnership around cloud for some time.
Peering, like a lot of peering stuff.
Yeah, there's been a lot of peering regions for Oracle's cloud that are sitting with Azure. So there's proximity. So, but here's what's going on is Oracle has some of the highest performance database capabilities on the planet. But as we know, in the era of AI, having the data running in a hyperscale cloud provides access to a lot of AI tools.
Yeah.
Microsoft has pretty much hitched its wagon to OpenAI, but it's betting big on Azure AI services and on the ability for companies to build AI on top of their data in Azure. Oracle has these high-performing databases that are basically used by every company on the planet, which we heard from some of these companies yesterday. And they're at this inflection between trying to do AI on-prem and trying to find this cloud euphoria, this perfect utopia for cloud and AI development. And so the two companies had something the others want. Workloads and utilization of AI services for Azure. And of course, for Oracle users, the ability to benefit from all that data and all that high performance database capabilities in using the Azure ecosystem. So I guess, Pat, when the two companies find something that the other is infinitely interested in consuming, you can find a way to put these two CEOs on stage together. But like I said, they have actually been pretty cooperative. Pat, as I see this, it's a important inflection to what's going on in the market. It's an interesting moment where I'm looking at kind of what companies like SAP are going to say about something like this.
Yes.
It's definitely been the Oracle run over the last several quarters to show strength in its performance across the database platform, to continue to make cloud services a growth engine for the company, especially IaaS. You saw huge growth numbers there. But C, you're seeing them branch out and saying, look, we're going to build a really successful, robust cloud business. And yes, our hardware will be probably most performant, but we can still perform really well in other clouds. And by the way, in this case, you're getting both. You're getting cloud at customer on Azure, benefiting from AI tooling, and it all comes together in one place. So solid stuff, Pat. I don't have a whole lot more to say about this, but what I will say, I guess, is this the first of a few? Are we, because with all the peering, this made sense for Microsoft, but if Oracle really wants to open the gates, could you see this in Google? I mean, could it happen? I mean, I don't know. And as of now, I think this is it. But I do think with Oracle's power and powerful database and the fact that probably every customer of every cloud company on the planet is using Oracle, what could come next? What surprise might Larry Ellison have up his sleeve next?
Yeah, I've been in tech over half my life, and it is funny how some of the stalwarts that created this industry are still the power brokers. Isn't that crazy? And I think I even found myself maybe 10 years ago not writing off Oracle, but if I looked at their innovation path on infrastructure, on core database, and in the cloud, they just looked like they were operating multiple clicks behind, and kind of lumped them and Microsoft into the same place. And Microsoft had their breakout moment that coincided with Satya becoming CEO. And then Oracle really had a couple breakthrough moments here. One of them was Gen 2 OCI, right? Gen 1 wasn't great. It was actually quite awful. They literally wiped the slate clean with Gen 2 and started racking up a ton of business, albeit maybe 5 years after AWS and Azure kicked into high gear. At the same time, they modernized their database, right? They modernized their database with a value prop that said, hey, you don't need 12 different types of databases. You can have one. And by the way, that one database actually auto fractalizes to multiple types of data and multiple types of it, but it's simple. And then they added the autonomous portion on top of it to remove some of the tasks that DBAs and data managers used to have to do. And by the way, also by automating it, reduced the likelihood of mistakes. And to make a long story longer, what they also did is they also remained strong in the hardware portion, right? If you look at their storage systems that for particularly for SQL are the highest performance out there, they are not using generic hardware, right? In fact, they use very high speed, not just memory where they cram it all up in there, but they also used Intel's highest performance storage. And then they wrap their software around that. And I think we've seen a lot of instances where the combination of software and hardware becomes vitally important. I mean, my gosh, look at Apple, hardware plus software. Look at AWS, and there are, I think, 5 different brands of hardware that they have, including Nitro. So Oracle is not just taking database code and running this on generic. And by the way, that's not I'm not putting Azure hardware down, but it's basic generic hardware and putting in Exadata machines, okay, and this is very unique, into the Azure data center, and then putting on top of it all the Azure PaaS and SaaS capabilities. So the big things I'm going to be thinking about is, I always talk about the 75 to 90% of enterprise data is still on-prem. What does this mean for that, right? Does this, with all this data kind of put inside of Oracle and SAP, is this going to make a dent on that 75 to 90%? I don't know. These things always take time, but an indication of their customers that they had rolled out for this 30-minute video were telling, right? Fidelity, right? Voya. Those are 2, obviously, fintech. And then you had PepsiCo, right? A major manufacturer on there. But anyways, exciting stuff. I think you broke down kind of the win-win situation here. By the way, if you're AWS and you have a hate-hate relationship between, Oracle and AWS, they're the last place I would ever expect this to happen.
Well, did you notice I mentioned Google? I didn't even mention.
Yeah, there's a potential, right? You have TK, and I think we would be ignorant to think that personalities don't matter in this business, and it's all analytical, right? TK used to work for Larry Ellison, right? And my guess is that they still have conversations. Heck, our friend at Salesforce, Mark Benioff, used to work for him as well. So personalities matter. The next place I would expect this to go would likely be Google. The last place I would expect this to go would be AWS. AWS doesn't, they didn't accept DGX Cloud, right, which was NVIDIA architected hardware in there. But here we are with Azure. So great stuff. Looking forward to learning more next week at Oracle Cloud World. Dan, you and I are going to be there with bells.
Rock and roll.